Yo. So quick question, because I'm kind of double celebrating today, and my boy Chris is here. Is it too early? You know, it's Red October G Day.
I love that Michelle and I are like, no.
Yeah, my building has craft beer on tap. You know what I'm saying? So I got to celebrate the birds. I got to celebrate MFG Day. My boy Chris is here, so I thought it'd be appropriate. So
what time is first pitch today?
I think 1:05. I think we got like an hour.
Yeah.
I'm
good.
excited.
You've got a lot of celebrating to get in. So if you're going to celebrate everything, you really need to have a good schedule. So you're doing great.
Thank you. You know, you got to stay on pace.
Yeah.
So hey, on that note, we're gonna just get going. So welcome everybody. If you guys are ready, let's just get going. So just happy Manufacturing Day 2022. Everyone, this is like the big day in manufacturing. It's the biggest day of the year. And this is all about celebrating the power, the potential, the past, the present, and the future of manufacturing and attracting our next generation of manufacturing worker. Hi, my name is James Soto. I'm the founder and CEO of Industrial. And this is the Industrial Strength Marketing Show, but it's more than that. It is the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge Rewind Manufacturing Edition. So welcome. Let's go. So we have assembled a fantastic crew, literally behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, out there making things happen in industry. I was talking to Andrew Crowe, who you'll meet here in a second. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion about the discussion of manufacturing. And we're going to talk about one subject today, especially on Manufacturing Day, which is how do we not change, but how do we create perceptions of manufacturing? I think we got to move on from trying to change things and trying to create it. And so in the spirit of the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge, I just want to welcome you and talk to these great influencers and creators. And so I want to give the floor first to Michelle Edmonson, AMT VP of Exhibitions. And I just want to get you to get us started. So introduce yourself and let's get going.
Well, first of all, hello, everyone. And I am really honored to be here with all of you today. So manufacturing, we at IMTS, we just had IMTS. All of you were there along with, 86,000 of our closest friends. And the energy that it built in the Creators Lounge, outside of the Creators Lounge, in the show floor, and in all of the pieces in the Student Summit, all of the pieces of IMTS really showed us that manufacturing is strong. It remains strong. And our job is always to create the next step to the industry and make sure that our next generation understands how important it is, how fun it is, and how dynamic and ever-changing the industry can be. And so on behalf of all of us here at AMT and IMTS, I just want to thank all of you for all you do in the industry. And I'm really excited to know you guys and work with you guys and really help shape the future.
That's amazing. And it's all about bringing people in to manufacturing. And on that note, we made a split like a last minute decision. Say, we really need a host for the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge. So if you haven't heard about it, the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge is a place where creators of original content, creators, period, people who are influencers, key opinion leaders in manufacturing can come to tell their manufacturing story. So we made a decision, say we need a host. And on that note, I want to introduce our mistress of Mischief, the host of the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge, Mary Hynes. Hey.
Honored and delighted to take that microphone. I miss my lucky green microphone, y'all. I really do. I feel a very strong connection. Mitch Free's amazing daughter infused it with magic. I passed it off to Megan Zimba. I'm still holding that torch. I'm holding that microphone for manufacturing. And Michelle, I echo what you said. I'm still reeling and feeling from the electric pop rocks in the air energy of having everyone on that floor and the sounds of the machines and the sounds of our stories. And it was very exciting because James pulled me aside a couple times and was just like, hey, Mary, be yourself. And I was like, don't I need to research and know XYZ? And he was like, no, you're the woman on the street. You're the conduit. You're the connector between the people and the industry. And it has been and continues to be so exciting to be that rainbow bridge between, between Earth and, oh my gosh, where's Thor from? It starts with an A.
Asgard.
Asgard, thank you so much. See, we're a team. I'm the rainbow bridge between Asgard and Earth. And it's been so exciting to learn everyone's stories. And it's really supercharged my story as an infotainment host. I just finished a training session to be a facilitator for corporate improv. So it's just so exciting, the electricity and the energy that comes from having people together telling their stories. And I'm now so much more curious about manufacturing and engineering and exploring my own manufacturing stories. So I've been bitten by the bug and I'm loving it. So
that is great news, because that's exactly what we want everyone to leave. Any piece that they come into our industry, whether it's IMTS, whether it's podcast, whether it's any one of your podcasts and or events, that's how we want them to leave and go out wanting more. So that's perfect.
And I've been tapping my laptop and I say, thank you, you're doing a good job. Like, just cleaned out the filter in my dishwasher and I'm like, thank you, I honor you. So I just feel so much more curious and kind and engaged with all of the manufacturing that, all of the things, it's so fantastic to, especially here, to have the people have the idea goes into it continues to travel around, and then all of a sudden it's a thing that you can engage with that then opens up new possibilities. It's like totally brain blasting and exciting. Period.
Yeah, it's
end of sentence.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Engineering has been described as the practice of creating things that never existed before, and I think that's like the most beautiful explanation that I've heard of engineering. And yeah, we did make the decision. We wanted someone who didn't know manufacturing, at least because we've been in the game for quite some time. And I was like, no, come in and I'd have to learn. I was like, no, the whole point is you bring that fresh point of view. So we'll be sending out some IMTS Plus through AMT, and you're going to just see Mary just going, wow, bug
I'm like, what is wrong with me? But it's perfect.
So that's the whole point. And on that note, we wanted to open it up, and how do we create new perceptions and get new points of view on manufacturing. So on that note, we then the whole point was to find folks who were either rising stars, folks with a purpose and passion in the industry, and who really cared about manufacturing, and not just the past of it, but the present, and how does that really influence the future. And I had the pleasure to meet Andrew Crowe, the new manufacturing renaissance. So that was one of my highlights. You're one of my heroes, and
thank you.
Yeah, let everybody get to know you. Happy Manufacturing Day.
Yeah, man. So hey, happy Manufacturing Day to my boy Chris. Happy Red October as well. It's great that they're happening on the same day, but I had an amazing time at IMTS, had multiple main stages, and I also got to do a lot with the kids in the in the student summit, and then I got to hang out in the creators lounge and getting to see the show from every different angle. I can say that there were all walks of life, from young to old, every representation of everything on the globe in IMTS and the creators lounge did a great job of putting the best and the most diverse of our industry in places and on platforms, so people that had nothing to do with our industry or knew nothing about our industry could go through that same process that we just saw Mary go through. And I think a lot of us on this call went through as well. The manufacturing bug is real. And once you see what it is, and once you see what everything involves, and then you see yourself in it, it's like, oh my goodness, I can do anything. I can take whatever's in my mind and make it real. And I think that right now we are in an age of, you know, Pinterest and Etsy and creators, and kids are making $1 million off of the apps and their minds and music that they're making. And we have such a creative society that is so connected. There's no reason why everybody with a cell phone or everybody with internet connectivity can't come into our industry and thrive and really, you know, find a place for themselves. So I love Creators Lounge, getting the people that are making the changes out there. I love IMTS and shows like that because there's no other place where you can put it all together for a person and they can connect all the dots at the same time. And then we got, you know, a manufacturing disciple for life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I came away inspired, and you know, we'll talk about that one question in a little bit. But you know, at the end of the day in life, it's not about the money you've made. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about the relationships you've made and the impact you've made on people. And you know, I think we're all trying to build our body of work. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, just this year and the big effort it took to put on the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge, I will consider amongst my best parts of my body of work that I've had the pleasure to be part of a team on. And that's a pretty big thing to say, because we were the ones behind building the brand, the narrative, launching and helping scale Manufacturing Day with, you know, Ed Udell and the Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, with the folks over at the National Association of Manufacturers, NIST, the MEP National Network, Manufacturing Institute. I mean, we put some real investment in that because we believed in it. My team thought I was crazy. We were small. We didn't have the resources to do it. And, you know, I had a conversation with Michelle and I'm like, man, I think there's an opportunity here to really open up this community again and take that next step. And so that purpose-driven conversation we had, you know, Drew, at the lounge, that just wants to keep it going. And what it takes is a great team. And I'll get emotional. You don't see me get emotional very often, but I also want to introduce Jason, man, Latayad. It's a beautiful name. It's a beautiful human being. He was our man behind the scenes. Everything you saw literally produced that was moving, anything digitally moving, Jason had his hand in it. So welcome, Jason. And we couldn't have done this without you. Happy Manufacturing Day.
Thank you so much. This is my first, you know, in being a part of something like this, and it's just been it's been a pleasure and an honor to be a part and working with you, James, and the team, and getting to know, you know, some of you and everything, and being a part of IMTS. That was my first time going to that, and man, I think what set it off for me is just, I think, and everyone's been kind of talking about it, is just the energy. The energy is so infectious to be around people that love what they're doing. And it makes it so much easier for someone like me to come in and create and help tell, you know, everyone's stories, you know, and make them as great as they can be, because you guys bring that energy and the passion and the love for the industry. So it really makes my job that much easier to bring, you know, to bring what I can bring to the table.
Jason, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Could you talk about the parallel between creativity and sleep? Is sleep necessary for creativity? Because I know you had some late nights. So please tell us more.
Very little. I would say probably very little sleep across all of IMTS. But I think that also kind of goes back to it too, where, you know, when you love what you do, you can persevere through anything. And so, you know, the energy that you guys fed into me to, you know, stay, you know, get in the booth and make sure everybody looks good, everybody sounds good, make sure the graphics are on, you know, and performing the way they need to perform, and all those things, I'll sleep when everything is done. You know?
And Michelle, thanks to you for and your team for establishing the media lounge, because I feel like ants at a picnic, there was a constant trail of all of us between, if it was coffee or if it was, I was telling everyone part of my favorite actor trick of hot water with honey and lemon. Like we were constant to the coffee.
Well, you're more than welcome. And it's very, like, we are firm believers that if it doesn't matter who you are, if you are well fed, well hydrated, well nourished, you will perform better. And so we try to do that with everybody across the board.
It was vital and wonderful. Then your whole team. Oh, it was just, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's all to say that.
That's actually an interesting thing. A number of years ago, I was at another trade show, and we have a a publication called Industrial Marketer. It's news, tips, and trends formed by industrial marketers. And so I went in thinking, hey, let me go get a media pass. Let me go try to get us a media pass to get in there. And, it was us really telling stories. We were doing lots of things on, podcasting and other channels. So I'm like, hey, podcasters should be, like, of course they'll let us in. And this trade show, this other trade show didn't. And it was actually one of the things that sparked the initial idea. So when you talk about the media center, opening up creators as a channel for us to tell stories was a very, very forward-looking thing for AMT to do. And so these are the types of things that create like little sparks of inspiration to say, how do you give folks a voice? So that those things happen. And thanks again, Jason. Jason's leading the charge of editing and creating all things.
Real quick, James, if I can build on that real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
You talked about putting this thing together and this being one of the, I guess you could say like the magnus opus, right? And then you also talked about some of that pushback. And I think that's important to really look at the scope of what you guys did, right? We've had this issue a lot with old versus new in manufacturing and holding on to some of the old stuff and not all the way embracing the new stuff. And maybe Chris can also attain to this because he's been having his podcast and chipping away and really building his audience organically, and a lot of the people that were older in manufacturing didn't all the way embrace the creators and the new stuff like this. And I'd say after the impact that this had in IMTS, we're still seeing posts every day from IMTS, and we're seeing the impact of how far all of the creators who had something to do with this are pushing the view of what IMTS was and getting the reach out there. If kids in the new generation that are coming into this field and those creators and innovators don't see themselves and don't see creators and don't see that content where they are, will never keep moving the ball forward. So I even say that not only is this maybe, one of the biggest things on your career, but all of our careers that we help make history with you, number one. And number two, I think going forward, this is going to start being the standard at these expos. And this is going to start being embraced as the new way going forward, because you can't put an ROI on the digital real estate that we're taking over collectively and together. And when it's embraced by, by AMT and IMTS, and you know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is it. This is the flag in the stand that says, this is the new standard. We're here. And this is how we reach the masses and continue, to get our digital real estate,
Amen.
Drop the mic, Andrew. So on that note, so you get inspired by folks you see out there early, like, doing the ground game, playing the long tail game. And Chris, manufacturing happy hour, which, by the way, I feel like there's a new dynamic. There will literally be a happy hour that you have to go to a real happy hour, like a literal one, which you actually did in Chicago during that week. So Chris, it was great interviewing you. Thanks for being one of the trailblazers and getting out the voice through the new channels out there. So yeah, happy Manufacturing Day.
Yeah, excited to be here. And I will piggyback off of what Crowe was saying just a second ago. I think one thing that's unique about what we're doing today and what we're doing with all the digital content that, as was said, we're still seeing on a regular basis. As we all know, IMTS was a week-long event, right? Started and stopped at the end of the week, right? But the reality is, and I'm glad to see this is becoming, let's say, more of the norm, and with IMTS helping spearhead this, you got to let these events live on through digital content after they're done. I look at any time I go to an event as, hey, this is where I'm going to be creating a lot of content. I'll share some of it while I'm there, right? There's a value to the live broadcasts and value to doing some daily or more frequent LinkedIn posts while you're there. But I'm creating my bank of content to tell stories for a long time after that as well, until the next trade show rolls around. So I think I'll go back to manufacturing happy hour real quick. The only reason manufacturing happy hour has been successful is because I've been consistent. It's about not only showing up to the event and giving it your A game while you're there, but it's about figuring out, hey, how can I keep this alive? How can I keep telling this story? How can I keep telling the stories of everyone in the industry long after the event is done? That's my take on it. So excited to be here today. This has been, it's been a pleasure.
So I'll just have a cheers here for you with my water, and Drew, like, I think this is the moment we'll have a cheers here together. Happy Manufacturing Day.
MFG Day, let's get it.
We have a phrase that we say in improvisation that it's the intentionality to stay in perpetuity, duration, and discovery. Perpetuity, duration, and discovery. You make a choice, you stay saturated in that choice, and while you're remaining in perpetuity, you're in discovery. So it's in that saturation. So everyone came individually with their intentionality, and then we get that mastermind tribe collective, and then we are able to be a part of an organism that's greater than ourselves, right? So I love that. I love that, Chris.
Mary, I think that was beautifully said. And Chris, you said something, you said IMTS is leading the charge. And I just want to say IMTS is ours. Like everybody that walked in those doors and or walks into our website and or any of the YouTube channels or social media channel or anywhere that we are, it's ours. It's all of ours. It's the community. And so IMTS is the conduit that we all make it. So I, again, appreciate all of you and all of the community everywhere that keeps manufacturing alive.
Now we're talking about consistency, right? And we're talking about community and a tribe, and we're human beings, right? That's how we communicate. That's how we survive. That's how we build empathy, literally, by telling stories. It's our brains are wired for stories. It's like amazing. So as we kind of look at that and how do we have that consistency, you will actually get to see, like, and what's interesting to that dynamic, like, the show never ends, right? That's the whole thinking and thought process around IMTS Plus. And one of our mandates was to say, how many stories can we capture? Well, we've captured over 50 interviews during that week, or roughly 50 interviews, Jason, right? Wow. How many terabytes of data?
We're like at 5 terabytes of data.
But that's just in what was scheduled. That doesn't include like our run and guns on the floor, the improvised moments, the hey, Mary, get your crew and head over, follow the yellow brick road over here and learn about this and talk to these people. And then I couldn't even go to the bathroom. Like
yeah, exactly. And so what you'll see, and one of the goals is to keep the pipeline fed. So what's been happening, so if you're out there listening or watching this this gathering here today, what you're going to hear and what you're going to see, but what you're going to feel are fantastic stories everywhere, from a young woman who's pursuing apprenticeships and getting really passionate about the industry, to folks who were in a startup accelerator with Hexagon Manufacturing Intelligence, where there were some amazing technologies that could really change the way, like, how we track and have safety around additively produced parts, and just real human stories here too. So when you kind of break things out, and to the point that you go in with that mindset to create, Chris, and you go with the mindset to be consistent and capture a body of content, we have to rethink the dynamic of how do we meet. Like, we have to really, really consider that. How do we meet? And that visual digital world, or virtual in-person world, I think a lot of folks found that we had a resolution to come back. And we had a resolution, though, to do it differently. And on that note, we met some great folks. We met some people serendipitously on the floor that actually I don't think were scheduled. I don't think, Malachi, were we pre-scheduled to meet in the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge, or was that one of our impromptus where we brought you in?
It was scheduled for one, and then we did an impromptu too.
Okay, so you got a twofer.
You infiltrated, Malachi. Yeah. It was scheduled, and then we just kept saying yes, and we said yes, and we kept on, like, having the producers in my ears and be like, hey, we have 2 more, just people joining. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And like,
Bring it.
Andrew piggybacked in there into our recap. It's like,
it was so much fun. And to tee you up a little bit, Malachi, and I'll just say this as it's said with love. I know a hustler when I see one. And I could tell that intentionality. You were going there to get business done. You were going there to create. And I just got excited by the energy. I was like, okay, keep tabs on Malachi. He's a guy like I want to definitely get to know, and hopefully we'll be friends, from this point forward. And Malachi is a recent founder, inspired to do things differently and focus his practice, his properties, elite automation. And he is creating a ton of content, and he's leading the way, and he's also being innovative in that storytelling approach. So Malachi, I want to just wish you a happy manufacturing day. Welcome to the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge Rewind. And yeah, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. What you guys are doing, I mean, this is huge. I think putting this brand around these creators, it creates like a different vibe. It creates like a different mindset and thought process. It's almost like, let's say for like Cartoon Network for kids, right? You knew you went to Cartoon Network to watch cartoons on Saturday, and this creators lounge, it gives you that vibe of, I can tune into this place and I'll see all the creators of the space. Like, so for me, like me personally, I'm always looking to see who else out there is making an influence and an impact. And I'll look back on stuff like this myself and see, like, who do you guys have on the show? Go do a dig and what these guys are talking about, what they're doing, things they're involved in, and really become educated on what's going on in the industry. Because definitely anybody that's looking to get into this industry, they need to be digging and looking to see what's actually going on in the industry. And I made the mistake myself. I was an engineer for like 7 years, project manager, and doing all these things. And really, I didn't know what was going on in the industry. I knew what was going on in the building that I was in, and was operating that very well. But outside of that building was a completely different story. And even now, as a business owner, even though I'm even more outside than I've ever been, sometimes I'll notice like I'm in the business, and I'll be like, wow, I haven't like really been on LinkedIn that much to see what's going on in the industry. And kind of have to step back into that research and that educational phase to make sure that you're staying up with what's going on in the industry, because it's going to open up all kinds of career opportunities for us, new people to connect with. And it's just an amazing place to be.
Malachi, I think that so exciting what you're saying. And also it really adds another link in the chain to Industrial Studios, whose whole mission is to create original, curated, branded content. Like, look at us now. We are around the world right now. I have 2 doves sitting on my window, and they're like, "What's the lady doing?" And like, I'm sitting on my Skittles couch. Like, we're all different places, and not everyone is able. Now there's 3 doves. Hey, happy manufacturing day. I've got 3 doves on my windowsill right now. Oh, now 2. I scared one away. What I'm saying is, people around the world are still able to connect through media, audio, video. If people weren't able to afford to travel because they're apprentices in their industry and they're trying to get inspiration is available with the click of the button. Just what
Absolutely.
If you got one of these puppies, if you've got, I'm on a loaner laptop from one of my other jobs. Guess what? I've got access. You have so many tools available to you, and I think it's so exciting that we're all able to lead the charge and give that connection and that intimacy to give the inspiration that people need to fuel their fire.
100%.
Absolutely.
I think you all said something that was pretty important. We all talked about intentionality, curation, and collaboration. And I think that is something that our industry and the world has been needing for a long time, right? Because we could tell a bunch of stories. We saw, hundreds of thousands of people in the building in IMTS, and we could have told any one of their stories, and a lot of them would have been the same, right? but actually curating and deciding which stories to tell, which stories are most important for the people that need to hear them, and then giving them the platform and giving them multiple platforms is the duty and the responsibility of us as creators and us in the position that are, curating the events. And I think that that's why we're all on this call, because we all represent different places that people in society are, right? And people that need to see it, right? And the beauty of all of that is no matter who you saw, you might have connected with me and saw my content, but you might like Malachi more. And that's great, because if we collab, and I just did his show, I think I've been on everybody's show here. Like if we all collab, then you'll see that through me. And then like, yo, now you've got another follower. And it's like, we've got to all stand tall together. We don't have the luxury of not collaborating and of not sharing each other's unique stories, because the fabric of America looks like this phone call right now. It looks, black, brown, it looks young, old, it looks gay, it looks straight. And if we can put all of that out here and say, yo, everybody has a story. We all in here, you belong to, we can tell yours and we want you here. Then that's how we chop that skills gap down. That's how we bring the, creativity and the innovation back. That's how we make USA Made something to be proud about again. And, everybody feels like they can be a part of this thing, and they can. Like we got more jobs than we can handle right now, So I just want to say hats off to everybody on this call because of the intentionality, the stories that you're creating and putting together, and the research and the collaboration that we all have. I think it's amazing.
My LinkedIn touches and my connections spiked up 1,500%.
Wow.
Yep, that's real.
And what's great is because thank you. And because of my curating content inspired by Industrial Studios, inspired by Creators Lounge, inspired by IMTS, I'm now sharing with my performer friends. I'm like, y'all, is your LinkedIn stacked? Because you need to get, you need to get. So it's just so exciting because I'm treating myself as my own manufacturer. I'm the Mistress of Mischief. I'm Mogul Mary in infotainment. And these were gifts that I've been cultivating, but they were watered and nourished by all of y'all. By Wade Anderson, when I learning about Okuma and going over on the floor and doing improvised stuff with Mitch Free. Mitch Free is a text away. Mitch is like my mentor. Are you kidding me? I was telling jokes on the phone with Mitch's daughter.
Yeah, we had some great.
I think honestly, like, if you look at it, like we're all together here, the fact that we know each other and the overlap of sharing our stories with each other, that's going to invite more people to want to be a part of what this is about. You may gravitate towards one person over another, but that doesn't matter because we're collaborating together on each other's channels and sharing each other's stories, and we're making it okay to bring in the types of people that like to listen to us into each other's stories and hearing that. And that's what's going to bring and fill in the gap of all these jobs that need to be filled is by
100%
sharing this over and over again.
I call that the skill.
While we're talking about collaboration and channels, I'm going to announce this now because it's behind me and it's playing.
Do it.
IMTS is super innovative. Obviously, they have their own channel, their own digital channel. And my TV show, Project MFG Class of the Trades, will be streaming exclusively on IMTS Plus as well. So they're going to be one of our digital streaming partners in addition to the other ones we have. But I'm excited that we could do that together after IMTS. But that's another way that collaboration comes about, and we're able to use each other's platforms to continue to make, things bigger and make the ripple a wave, if that makes sense.
I can't smile enough. I can't smile. My cheeks are going to pop off my face. And also, I want to piggybacking on Jason and piggybacking on Andrew, and it's something I've been speaking about off camera and on camera. There's a skill swap. There's the mastermind group. I really love Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It's such an easy read. My personal trainer in New York gave it to me. And then I've been gifting it along to people. Yeah. But there's that mastermind, that tribe, that hive mind, that peer-to-peer, I felt empowered to initiate meetings with people that me before IMTS 2022 and before my my loving relationship with industrial studios and industrial strength marketing, I would have been too intimidated to initiate a meeting with. However, now I feel like I have a pillar of power in me, knowing that I have unique skills that people need. And we all bring that, and oh my gosh, more goosebumps. I feel like, again, I should have taken a goosebump tally when I was there, and my cheeks are going to pop off my face from all the smiling.
Well, I have a special treat for everybody here. Speaking
Treats?
of goosebumps, well, we'll have some treats next week in St. Louis, but we happen to have one of the best voices in podcasting, Mr. Wade Anderson.
Wade Anderson!
Matters, Okuma. And we, I actually was hoping you would end up going last, Wade, because you're getting to go to Key West on vacation. So, this is the last stop before vacation, right?
I think my mind is almost halfway there already. So yeah, this is my unwind week after IMTS. It took me 3 weeks to kind of get things cleaned up at work after the show to be able to actually have the time to go down and take a week off. But yeah, we're excited to get away for a little bit and come back renewed and recharged. But IMTS was definitely a lot of fun. The energy level, I think everybody pretty much on the panel here so far has just talked about the energy level. And coming into it, obviously I work for Okuma, I work for an OEM builder, and you put a lot of investment into a show like that. And coming out of the pandemic, and there's a whole lot of hesitation on how much do we put into it? How many resources, how many people, how much time and money? And we decided, hey, let's just go all in, just like we did every year before that. And looking back now after the event, Monday morning by 9:30, we knew Monday was going to be a smash. I mean, our booth was absolutely packed by 9:30 in the morning. Well, then you wonder, okay, is that a blip? Or we're going to have a big day Monday, and then is it going to fall off? And it never fell off all the way through the week. So we look back, and that's got to be at least one of the top 5, if not one of the top 3 IMTS shows we've ever had in terms of business and success from the show. It's been incredible. So the energy level was amazing. The difference that I can feel with people coming in post-pandemic versus, I guess, pre-pandemic, people came to the show to really learn about equipment and learn about manufacturing and understand new technologies at the show. And I think this year there was a whole lot less of that. It was people coming in, they've already done their research. They know through all the digital exposure, everything everybody here is already talking about. They came to our booth this year already knowing exactly what they want to talk about. They just want to touch it, feel it, put hands on it, that kind of thing. So it was a real noticeable shift in the education level of how people are coming into these shows equipped now.
Yeah, it was definitely palpable. I think I said there was a friend around every bend. So I think there was that dynamic of really getting to see everyone that it's a very tight community, but there was real business going on, and you really sensed that. And there was really good buzz. I was actually kind of feeling bad going, man, if I didn't go, if we weren't here, I would have been like totally upset. So about, because there's uncertainty, and sometimes you just have to, you have to make your best bet, and that's, all good intentions, aside one way or the other. I am absolutely glad that we, made the resolution to come back, and that we were resolute in our beliefs that we could do this together. And that we can also try to not just get together and do the same thing over again, but do something distinctive, unique, but most importantly, worth doing.
It was a very big, James and Wade and everyone who's listening. There was a huge harvest. It was an absolute Thanksgiving cornucopia. And so Wade and everyone being able to touch the equipment, open the doors, see the shavings, and at the end of the night, all of the the big, everyone carting everything off, and being able to see and touch and hear and feel and have that visceral experience.
Mm-hmm.
and then replant that harvest, right? So I'm still trying to keep track of all the seeds. I still have seeds, and I'm, keeping track of everything to replant and harvest. So it's just going to continue to fuel the vision and the inspiration to continue more of the digital branded content that reaches people around the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Touch on one thing, kind of tying this back to Manufacturing Day and bringing young people into the industry. Something that I think is very important, and I was feeding back small video clips to our engineering, one of our engineering teachers here at a local high school that I do a lot with, and it's such a great opportunity for young people, or even anybody that doesn't know anything about manufacturing, to understand all the different pathways there are in manufacturing. I grew up as a machinist, so I tend to get single-mindedly focused on manufacturing as chip making. Well, it's really not. You walk around our booth and look at the robotic programming, look at the computer science work that's taking place, look at the marketing work and the visual arts. And there's so many different pathways that there's such a great future for anybody getting into manufacturing. The pathways are really endless at that point. And when you walk around a booth like that and really take in all those experiences, you can really kind of see understand what motivates people, and then try to help them see where those pathways can connect to them.
Yeah, I love that, Wade. And I want to jump in a little bit, because a lot of what you're saying, that was the beautiful thing about IMTS, and the great thing about, me personally being able to work downstairs and upstairs. And the first day on Monday, I was mainly upstairs in the main stages, and most of my talks were upstairs. So I only got to touch down at the main at the student summit, like towards the end of the day, and the energy was kind of off. You could tell kids weren't sure of what was going on too much, or they had questions, but they weren't like engaging in the things, right? And I saw the next Tuesday, I got to kick off the student summit down there and really get kids excited. And I said, touch everything. You're the future. None of this stuff matters. It looks futuristic, but none of it matters if you're not here to continue to make it or run it or program it. You're more futuristic and more important than everything in here. And you just watch their eyes go like this. And then they just swarmed everything, and they're just taking everything from every table. And then I watched as Tuesday went on and Wednesday, and I was back upstairs on main stages, I started seeing kids sneak upstairs. They started looking at the things upstairs. And then by Wednesday evening, I was asking the kids, what was your favorite thing? And they were like, I saw this down here. And then I ran upstairs and snuck up there, and we got to see the big version of it. And we got to see the big machines. And then on Thursday and Friday, I saw kids coming in, and they were bringing in pictures, or they were like, yo, can you show me where this is? And they had gone back to their schools and started taking that information that they saw and Googling and finding different machines and different machine tool makers that they were interested in, and then, looking on the map and actually planning their day out and being intentional about what they saw. So you're exactly right with what you're saying. And we got to see it in real time. It was such a blessing to be able to see it. And again, it makes me more excited for years to come. And that's why this content in this creators lounge is so important, because again, like Chris said, and like Jason said, we've got this content to connect with the kids continually until it comes back, right? And they are all digital natives. So the first thing, when a kid has a question in their mind, they don't ask mom, they don't ask big brother, they don't ask dad, they ask Siri and they ask Google. You know what I'm saying? And Google's going to give them 5 different answers that they can go into that rabbit hole, right? So they're the smartest generation, and they've got the most information at the tip of their hands. So let's give them what they want, and let's show them what it is, and be there and be present. So when they go Googling, they find us and they find our stories and they find these awesome robotics and all of these different things. I'm a machinist too, so it's nothing cooler than cutting chips, but that's not for them. They can go.
I don't know. Automation's pretty cool, man.
Oh, it's on now. I think that's a big theme too, where you think about what's happening. And one of the things we're doing next week at the MT Forecast event in St. Louis is we're talking about the fact that, like, Okuma, you're talking about, well, we've got controls and we've got automation. I believe that the next round, if you're going to fast forward 2 years, you're going to see, and this is why we selected the topic, was, we called it unassailable positioning for manufacturing technology companies, because these companies cannot go to market. They cannot talk about or tell their stories unless they do it differently. And they may have to present themselves as a fully autonomous manufacturing company, like, or you know, the games are changing, and the amount of innovation that's happening in industry is only going to make these types of things more relevant. And that student summit's amazing. I know we're getting close on time, so I'm going to, as promised for our audience, and in the MFG Day spirit, you know, the goal in forming Manufacturing Day was to change perceptions of manufacturing and careers in manufacturing, to inspire our next generation workforce, to inspire students, their counselors to actually even recommend the pathway, and their parents to encourage them on that pathway to pursue technical careers, engineering degrees, technology, manufacturing. And in that spirit, the goal was always to try to change people's perceptions. And as it's grown, and so many people never came up with the old perceptions of manufacturing. So we're kind of bringing that ourselves. So my belief has been, how do we create perceptions of manufacturing? So in as simple as way possible, and I'll put you on the spot, Malachi, first. What's the one thing that comes to mind that we can do, you can do, anyone can do, to create perceptions of manufacturing?
To create perceptions of manufacturing. You know, I think honestly, people have to start being more transparent. People have to start opening up their doors, really get raw with it, go behind the scenes, show off the parts of your business that are the most sexy, right? Like for us, we have a company that luckily a lot of the things are very attractive things, right? You're dealing with robots, you're dealing with, you know, programming, conveyors moving, and not all companies have that, but maybe you have a piece of that equipment in your facility and you can show that piece of equipment doing its job, doing its thing. And, that can be very inspiring to somebody because, you know, their perception of manufacturing, maybe a guy operating a shovel still, or operating a broom, or just, you know, who knows, like, they think of like the manual dirty tasks, and they don't think about like this newer, innovative, technological environment. And not all companies are going to have this, but even the ones that don't have a lot of this stuff, they still have a lot of things that are, you know, very advantageous to show to the public. There's, I think a lot of companies, they maybe they pay well and they don't advertise it. That's another thing too. Like, people don't really understand that you can graduate with a 2-year degree and be making $28 an hour starting out. You can be making 32 within a few hours later.
I think what, $26 is the threshold to the middle class an hour. Like that's middle.
So.
I mean, that's a game.
It's probably shrinking, but yeah,
like retail and lots of other things where people are pursuing. No, that's a good point. Let's see here, Chris. How do we create perceptions?
Consistency. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record with that answer, but it doesn't come from showing up to one trade show and sharing a lot of content that week. It doesn't come from starting to show up on LinkedIn for a month and realizing you don't have 1,000 followers and then quitting. It comes from continuing to put in the work, especially it's the hardest when no one's watching, right? You got to do it at the start, right? But you keep putting out good content that advocates for the industry, that talks about all the important issues, diversity and inclusion, getting the next generation involved, the technology, what have you. You got to show up and do it every day. That's what I see folks like Malachi doing. That's what I see folks like Andrew Crowe doing. I can't log on to LinkedIn without seeing something new from them. And that's what builds and gets people involved, right? It's sticking with it. And it's one of those things that not everyone does because it's hard. It's hard to stay consistent. It's hard to stick with it, especially like I said earlier, when a lot of people might not be paying attention to you at the very beginning. But as you know, we've kind of talked about it. Manufacturing Happy Hour has been around for a little while now. And the reason it's successful now is all the work I was putting in a long time ago when it was still a very small niche audience. And it can still be fun at that point, right? Engage with the people that are engaging with you when you're small and you have the time to talk to all those people, right? Like make it fun, enjoy that part of the process. And that's where I am now. I still got a lot of growth to go, But for the macro lesson, everyone, stay consistent. Don't give up. It might not feel like people are looking at you right away, but keep it going, because those are the things that will gradually continue to build and influence the industry. None of this happens overnight.
So
Chris,
whether
Yeah.
you're creating a
Chris, you
part
said
or creating a podcast, right?
I want to put a pin in something you said, or maybe gloss a highlighter over it. We say this in improvisation. The process is the product. You are writing your story live. So many times, I look back on my journey, and the times when I was doing improv shows in a basement bar in New York City at the Triple Crown Ale House, some of my favorite moments of being a creator, right? Your journey, having a show be canceled because we didn't have anyone in the audience. There was a fire under my butt to fill those seats, right? So people are watching, and you never know who's seeing what you're doing and being inspired by it. So showing up every day, like the process is the product.
Yep.
I have a
Yeah, especially for anybody that's new and trying to do what we're doing and be creators and trying to shed light on the industry. I think, like Chris said, being consistent and not getting discouraged too, because like even today we'll post things that get 300 views or 300,000 views. So you got to be okay with like not letting the down days. I mean, like, and sometimes weird things will happen, like where we'll see like maybe for like 7 days we're getting 200,000-300,000 impressions, and then it'll just dump. It'll just fall right off, and then we're getting 10,000 impressions or something for a week, and it's kind of crazy how there's those ups and downs, even with people who are already putting out content and already seeing some success in what they're doing. It's a grind, and to not get discouraged, and definitely don't pay attention to the numbers, especially in this industry too, because Andrew was talking about this yesterday. We're not musicians. We're not going to get 1 million views on a video. We're in manufacturing. Our market is much more niche. There's a lot less people in our industry, so there's always going to be less eyeballs. But hopefully what we do is more impactful. We'll have more impactful messages, and the eyeballs that are seeing us are more valuable eyeballs to us.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks don't realize how much us individually, as companies, as brands, could be true channels, can be a conduit to the industry. And that was the hypothesis, that I think we've all had at some point. And Jason, so as you think about, from your view, how do and Jason, you're somewhat new to the manufacturing sector, joining Industrial Studios, intentionally bringing new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see, as a way, what perceptions did you have coming in, and how could we change them?
I think it's just surrounding ourselves with, the influencers that want to tell the story. There's, I think we talked the other day about demystifying. I don't know if you remember that, demystifying, the myth stories, or the stories that aren't, true or whatever. So you put out, what you want people to see about what manufacturing is. And we have influencers here and, during IMTS that are telling those stories so that people can ask the right questions and find the avenues that they are motivated in to take that path and change it up in their own way. So I think, it starts with, a camera. It starts with, your voice, audio. It starts with any of those avenues. We got so many avenues and ways that we can share these stories, share the insights of these stories, and let people know fully what it's all about, the breadths and the avenues that we can take to, tackle the industry and take it to the next level. So I just think it just starts with, just the passion, the idea. You want to learn more about it. All right, start educating yourself on, the areas that excite you about the field, and then just go from there. Just take baby steps until you're able to make waves.
So far, it's like we gotta press record, we gotta hit send, and I think we've got to find that balance between consuming and creating. And I think that's one of the things we got to work on. I think with my young generation, my 2 kiddos, they have that balance, but it was because there's intentionality about it. It gets exhausting just to consume, and you've got to create, and you've got to express that. And So Michelle, we've had lots of hypotheses, a lot of conversations, a lot of speculation. How do you see, what's the one thing we can do to change perceptions of manufacturing?
Well, I think, to be honest, I think we're already starting it and doing it. I think, we've talked a lot about collaboration. I said it earlier that IMTS isn't something, it's something that AMT produces, but at the end of the day, it's not AMTs, it's the communities. And so as creators, as community, and the people in the community, if we collaborate on the mission and we're all driving to that mission, there are many ways to get there. And so the biggest and most important thing I think anyone in the industry needs to do is make sure that we're all on the same page as to what the mission of the industry is.
Absolutely. So know what mission, know what we're swimming towards.
Yeah.
That's absolutely a huge opportunity. Wade, how do we, you've been in the game. What's the one thing we can do to change perceptions of manufacturing?
I think we have to appeal to everyone. I look at certain other types of careers, like a teacher, for an example. You have a government scale. If you have this degree and this many years, you make X amount, then you get this higher degree and you can make X amount. And they've got a very clear linear path of what education time equals money and opportunity. And they give you a very clear path. For me personally, I jab myself in the eye with a dull stick. I'm not cut out of that kind of cloth, right? I'm more, let's get after it. Let's make stuff happen. Let's drive and build our own stuff. So, but there's, we have certain engineers that are more, they want that safety factor, they want that clean lifestyle, that progression. So I think we have to appeal to different audiences, and we have to be able to show them what that path looks like. What does manufacturing look like in certain skill sets, certain personality types, and know that the future is whatever you can make it, and be able to show you can start here. I think it was Malachi that said, a 2-year degree, you can start with a really good paying job. I can bring people in. Right now, everybody is begging for service engineers. If you've got some brains and how to fix stuff, my gosh, there's a phenomenal career path right there. That's not boring. You're traveling, you're meeting people, you're seeing things. We got to make that visible and let people know. I guarantee you, if I go to 90% of the high schools right now and I ask them what a service engineer does for a machine tool company, a grand total of about 0 will be able to tell me what that is. Yep. But we have to educate them on that and let them know this is a great lifestyle. You can afford a really nice life and your goals, accomplish your goals and your vision from wherever you want to start at. And then there's all these different channels you can take to grow and be able to show them what that growth looks like. I think being able to make that visual and appeal to a broader audience, I think is very important.
Wait, are you trying to get me away from comedy? Because that was a really good pitch.
Hey, turn wrenches? We're hiring.
That's a good pitch. I want to.
What? Yeah, no, people don't realize actually how good it is and how lucrative. Like, how many I've seen so many people raise families, go to college, live extraordinary lives doing that. And I think to the point where you say, like, your first reaction, hey, I'm not cut out of that, and that scale and that, and I think Abraham Lincoln is coined for saying this, but the best way to predict the future is to create it. And that's, controlling your own destiny. Malachi is a hustler. Everybody here is a hustler. We're getting it done, and getting to work. So, in the interest of giving everybody a chance to unapologetically plug their platforms and their shows, Andrea, I'll finish up with you. What's the one abbreviated way we can change perceptions of manufacturing?
I think we're doing it now. Everybody, pretty much hit on it. Tell your story, no matter who you are. If you don't think that your story matters, it matters. I'm a 2-time felon, teenage father with gold teeth, and I sat with both presidents. I talked to Joint Chiefs of Staff. I have a TV show and a documentary out today. Your story matters, no matter who you are. Don't try to, be Chris. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Malachi. Your story matters, and someone needs to see your story. If you don't, even if you're a shop that, like we said, if you're a shop that's turning manuals and Bridgeports, there's a kid out there that likes that old school stuff. Tell your story. If you're a shop that's trying to if you're a shop that's trying to upgrade and get to the highest technology, document your journey, because there's shops out there that are trying to do the same thing and they're scared and they don't know how to take the first step. And by you taking that step and documenting that journey, you're telling a lot and you're helping the industry. By telling these stories, we're helping. If you can't tell your story and you're scared to tell your story, or you're just not you and you're not that type of person, that's okay too. Get behind the people that are telling their stories. Help provide a platform, help lift them up, share their statuses, like, comment, follow them. It goes a long way because someone else is going to see it that can connect with it. So if you don't want to tell your personal story, but you see someone that's telling something that can connect with people around you or connect with yourself, go ahead and do it in that fashion. That is what made me who I am today. I didn't know that my story mattered. I didn't know that my transparency mattered. And a lot, like Mary said earlier, I'd sit in rooms with people that I would never have sat in rooms with. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of executives, a lot of CEOs and government officials sit in rooms with me. And if they would have seen me 5 years ago, walk the street with me, gold teeth, braids, they probably wouldn't have. And us together, by doing these things and having these conversations and sharing our stories, are breaking down those barriers. We're killing stereotypes and we're bringing each other together, and we're lifting all of our manufacturing and Americans all together. So tell your story, keep pushing, or support someone that's telling their story.
Hoorah!
I knew we wanted to go last. We knew.
So fired up! I'm so fired up!
On that note, why don't we all just go around, because this is also about unapologetically promoting your platform. So everyone listening out there, please support everyone here. They're passionate, they do it, they're consistent, they're focused, and this everyone here started with this as a sense of duty or as a passion project. So starting with you, Wade, just give us the name of your show and how we can find it.
Shop Matters, sponsored by Okuma America. You can get to it from the Okuma website, from pretty much all the typical podcast sites. So Shop Matters, we talk a lot about just anything related to manufacturing, everything from how to make parts to what different supply companies can provide and where the new technologies are going. That's kind of our key focus.
Awesome. So Jason, a little bit about Industrial Studios.
Yeah, we're Industrial Studios. We're here to tell the stories in the manufacturing space, and we're doing that with video and motion graphics, and we're taking it to the next level.
All right, Malachi.
Oh, got it. Yeah, we're good. We got it. Yeah. So recently we just launched our podcast, The Manufacturing Come Up, basically giving the stories, people's backstories. It's going back to tying in all these people's different stories from how they got to where they're at, all the way from like, what kind of child were you, to being where you are in your current career, and then some different tips to influence either people already in their career or people who are in a high school level, elementary school level, all levels, right? And we're trying to bring people onto that channel that have backgrounds with different diversities, and they're trying to make impacts in the industry, and also already doing their own personal things to influence people. Sponsored by Elite Automation as of right now. We'll probably at some point in time accept outside sponsors as well. Elite Automation is also my company. I'm the CEO of Elite Automation, and we're systems integrators, working with all different types of technologies, specializing in robotic welding and the design of weld fixtures and the manufacturing of them.
Awesome. Chris.
All right. So Manufacturing Happy Hour is a podcast that's available wherever you get your shows, iTunes, Spotify. It is the show where, the same way you would describe something as if you were having a drink with someone, we try to dissect the latest trends and technologies in manufacturing the same way you would as if you were having a discussion over a cold one. And we do that by humanizing the people behind the technologies, behind the issues, and sharing the stories of the folks in the industry. So Manufacturing Happy Hour, iTunes, Spotify, or of course, manufacturinghappyhour.com.
Awesome. Andrew.
All right, y'all ready? So, my name is Andrew Crowe. I am the founder of the New American Manufacturing Renaissance Tour, where this year we launched, and from April to the end of October, I'm actually going to leave this weekend. We had the pleasure of visiting 12 cities and touching over 350 community members and industry members in each one of these different cities, where we put awareness and access of manufacturing careers and jump-started the ecosystem. We were proud to be sponsored by Mastercam this year. We were sponsored by Edge Factor. We were sponsored by AMT and Modern Machine Shop. And we had the great opportunity to just really spread the word of our field and get kids of all shapes and sizes and creeds and colors excited about our field and get connected with jobs and opportunities right away. Right now, today, I have a Rock MFG Day toolkit via our software, edgefactor.com/Drew Crew, where you can see my mini documentary first before it gets streamed live. Can't say the network yet, but it's coming out this fall, this winter. But you can get exclusive access right now to tell my story and share it for your MFG Day festivities all month. It also has 5 days worth of career exploration tools for students, educators, and community members. And I've had the pleasure of going on 2 of the 3 podcasts mentioned. Wade, I'm going to hit you up about going on yours. I don't have a podcast for that reason. I'm a big supporter of all the podcasts in our industry, and I love to be a guest and talk about my story and help big up the people that are putting in the work. Like Chris, big fan of his, big fan of Malachi's, and incoming fan of Wade's.
He's coming. It's going to happen, Wade. Oh my goodness. Mary, how do folks find you?
I don't know. I need to start a podcast so I can have Andrew on it because he told me and now I need to create. Well, you can find me aligned as the Mistress of Mischief, hostess with the mostest for industrial studios and industrial strength marketing. You can follow me on my comedy journey on Instagram at Mary Hynes. I'm actually about to start a very exciting thing. I bought a one-way ticket to Burbank, California, October 29th. And I'm heading west for the winter. And my goal has always been to go between New York, Chicago, and LA, and Nashville. Industrial strength marketing headquarters. Okay, James.
Yeah.
So the amount of times I've told James.
You told me.
I don't ask. I say I should just be like, when am I booking my flight to Nashville? Anywho, that's another pitch for another time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start sharing my story about getting a one-way ticket to Burbank, 2 suitcases and a dream, nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I think I'm gonna do Mary Mogul is going to be that Instagram account. Follow me on LinkedIn as your infotainment host. Yeah.
I think that's the name of your show. Nothing to lose, everything to gain with Mary Hynes.
One-way ticket to Burbank, baby. 2 suitcases and a dream. Bye-bye.
My gosh, you just did all your messaging for your show.
Thank you. You should look into doing something about this. I think you're good at branded content.
Yeah, we can work on that. So last but not least, and a big reason why we are all here, Michelle, take us out. IMTS Plus. We'd love to kind of get your thoughts on your vision and where people can go next.
Absolutely. So we're pretty excited about IMTS Plus. It is where all of you and a lot of creators, and it's storytelling, it's sharing stories in ways people want to consume it, whether that's a video, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a written story. People, and it's all kinds of things. It shows the New American Manufacturing Renaissance will be on there. We have original shows. It's also webinars. It's also a podcast. It's also news stories. It's the benefit that IMTS is that it's inclusive of everybody in the industry, and IMTS Plus is the same. It's inclusive of everyone in the industry, and you can find it now at IMTS.com, and just go over to IMTS Plus and you can see all of the pieces that are there and things. We welcome ideas. We welcome anyone that says, this isn't great, fix this. that's fantastic. Like, we welcome all of it. So
It's a journey, right?
it is.
So on that note, I think we've created a few perceptions of manufacturing and the people in the past, the present, and this amazing future right here of manufacturing. So on that note, I want to thank everyone here and wish you all a happy Manufacturing Day 2022. And to our audience, I just hope you heard one thing, just one golden nugget that really helps you really think about how do you better those who design, make, and move the world, the people who make the products from scratch from their minds and all the way to getting it to market. You've heard about great stories here, people who are taking their careers, taking their talents to tell stories that make an impact. So on that note, I want to thank you for listening to the Industrial Strength Marketing Show. Happy Manufacturing Day. And this now ends the IMTS Plus Creators Lounge Rewind. We will catch you soon.